Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're looking at a story that, honestly, it seems impossible.
It's a weird one.
It's a really weird one. You have a 1970s Latin pop superstar on one hand and Pope John Paul II on the other.
Right. Not exactly a natural pairing.
No. But that's exactly what we're getting into today. We're doing a deep dive into the song Amigo by the legendary Brazilian singer Roberto Carlos.
Amigo. Friend. Such a simple title.
Deceptively simple, because our mission today is to figure out how this one ballad, which was basically about friendship between two guys, somehow became this, accidental anthem for a papal visit.
And not just that, it topped the charts twice, a year apart.
A year apart. And then decades later, it comes back as a salsa hit. It's a wild ride.
It really is a perfect example of how a song with a really pure universal message can just cross every border imaginable, languages, genres, you name it. It's kind of about cultural serendipity.
I love that phrase. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. 1977. The song itself. We have to clear up a big misconception right off the bat, don't we, about the songwriters?
We do. The credit reads Erasmo Carlos and Roberto Carlos.
And you immediately think, okay, brothers.
It's the logical leap, but no. No relation at all.
Really?
Nope. Just a coincidence. They shared a surname. They were just these incredibly close, long-time songwriting partners.
And they had their roles down, right?
Oh, yeah. A very clear division. Erasmo typically handled the music, and Roberto, he wrote the lyrics.
Okay, so maybe not brothers by blood, but this song is definitely about that kind of bond.
It is, 100%. Roberto Carlos actually wrote the lyrics of Amigo as a dedication to Erasmo.
So it's a tribute.
A direct tribute. And the lyrics, they're not just surface level, you're my buddy stuff. They talk about a friendship that's been through hard times and, survived.
I was looking at some of the translated lines. There's that one piece of imagery that really stands out. He calls his friend a man with the heart of a child.
Yes. Hold on to that line. A man with the heart of a child. It's going to become very, very important a little later in the story.
And he also says his friend's heart is a house with open doors. It's just so open and vulnerable.
Exactly. And that vulnerability is what let it travel. See, it came out in Portuguese in '77. But Roberto Carlos, he was already a massive star, and he had this strategy.
The Spanish versions.
The Spanish versions. It was his standard practice. He'd re-record his biggest hits in Spanish to really conquer the rest of the Latin American market.
He didn't do the translations himself, though?
No, for Amigo, he brought in an Argentine brother and sister team, Buddy and Mary McCluskey.
The McCluskeys.
The McCluskeys. And they did a really faithful adaptation. The meaning, the sentiment, it's all there.
And that single had a B-side, No te olvides de mí.
Which means, don't forget about me.
A little ironic, considering no one could forget the A-side.
Not a chance. It was a smash hit. In Mexico, it hit #1 on the week of March 10th, 1978.
Okay, so March 78, it's a #1 hit. Story over, Ray. Just another successful pop song.
If that's where it ended, it would be, a nice footnote in his career.
But this is where the story gets really good. We need to jump forward to January 1979.
And this is a huge moment in Mexican history. Pope John Paul II's coming to visit.
We have to stress this wasn't just any visit.
No, this was the first time a pope had ever visited Mexico. The cultural significance, the excitement, you just can't overstate it.
So the Pope's coming, and on January 30th, he's scheduled to visit a private Catholic school, the Instituto Miguel Angel.
Right. And the plan is for him to be greeted with a performance by some of the students.
Yeah,
the children's rondalla of the Colegio Mexico and the Estudiantina of the Institute.
So very traditional student music groups.
Exactly. Lots of acoustic guitars, mandolins, that kind of thing. Very formal.
And they had a set list figured out.
Almost. They had 2 songs locked in. Tu eres Pedro, you are Peter, which is very on brand for the Pope.
Makes sense.
And the other was Himno a la Alegría, the hymn to joy, Beethoven.
Classics. But they were stuck on the third song.
Totally stuck. The organizers just could not agree. And time is running out. They're making these poor kids rehearse all these different options, and nothing is working.
You can just picture the scene, can't you?
Yeah.
A room full of stressed out school administrators and just 100 exhausted children.
It's pure chaos, but it's also where the magic happens.
This is my favorite part of the story. So they're at a total impasse. And from the back of the room, this little voice pipes up.
One of the kid singers.
Just a tired kid. And he shouts, "Why don't we sing Amigo? The Pope says that us children are his friends."
That's the quote. The simple, perfect logic of a child.
It just cuts through everything, all the bureaucracy, all the debate. This kid is just like, he's our friend, let's sing the friend song.
And the organizers, they just heard it and went, yes. They accepted the idea immediately.
And just like that, this pop song about two songwriters is on the official program for a papal visit.
That moment changed everything for this song.
So January 30th arrives, the Pope is there.
And the children perform their 3 songs, Tu eres Pedro, Himno a la Alegría, and then Amigo.
And the reaction.
It was immediate. The whole visit was being televised, broadcast everywhere. So when the story got out that this popular song was part of the welcome, public interest just exploded.
Radio stations must have jumped all over that.
They put it back into heavy rotation immediately. But the record label, Musart Records, they were really clever.
What did they do?
They didn't just push the Roberto Carlos version. They rushed the actual kids from the school into a studio.
No way, the Rondalla and the Estudiantina.
The very same. They had them record their own version. It was a little slower, and they added an accordion to give it this really traditional folksy sound.
And how did they market it?
They were not subtle. The album cover was a big photo of the Pope, and the tagline was literally, "The children who sang for His Holiness John Paul II."
Wow, okay, so that's pretty direct.
And it worked. It created this chart anomaly you almost never see.
Right, because the song hit #1 in March of '78.
Correct. But then, on March 30th, 1979, more than a year later, the original Roberto Carlos version went back to #1 in Mexico.
It had a second run at #1.
For 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And the children's version was a huge seller, too. It's so rare for a song to have 2 separate peaks like that, driven by a news event.
The song basically became a hymn in the public mind.
It did. And Roberto Carlos himself, he sort of acknowledged that.
What did he say about it?
He was quoted as saying he really appreciated it. He just said, "I am religious, I'm Catholic, I like messages."
I like messages. Very understated.
I think he knew the song wasn't just his anymore. It belonged to this moment.
And when a song becomes a moment like that, it starts showing up elsewhere. Which brings us to 1980.
The movie.
There's a movie called Amigo.
Yep. And it's a really interesting piece of media because it kind of blurs the line between a fictional story and a documentary. It starred a huge child actor at the time, Pedro Fernandez.
Right, he was a massive singer and actor.
And the plot of the movie is basically a retelling of this exact event.
A reenactment of the kids singing for the Pope.
Sort of. The climax of the film is Pedro Fernandez's character in the choir singing Amigo for the Pope.
Okay.
But the kicker is, they mix in actual documentary footage from the Pope's real visit to the Basilica of Our Lady of Guadalupe.
So you're watching the movie, but you're also seeing the real Pope.
It completely cemented the song's connection to that historical moment. If you saw that film, Amigo and Pope John Paul II were linked forever in your mind.
It's amazing how it became this perfect little time capsule. But the story doesn't stop in the 80s.
Not even close. We have to fast forward again all the way to 2004.
And this is where Marc Anthony comes in.
Exactly. Marc Anthony, now a global superstar, decides to cover Amigo. And he does it twice.
What do you mean twice?
Well, he released 2 albums at roughly the same time. One was a pop album, Amaris and Mentiras, and the other was a salsa album, Valio La Pena.
And Amigo is on both of them.
It is. You get the ballad version, which is pretty faithful to the original, but the salsa version, that's where it got a whole new life.
One critic called it tasty, right?
That's the word. From the province. They praised its multiple horn lines. And you have to admit, turning this slow, heartfelt ballad into a salsa track is a bold move.
Yeah, salsa is all about high energy dancing. Amigo is a quiet reflection.
But it works. The melody is so strong that when you put that driving rhythm and those bright horns behind it, it transforms the feeling from quiet appreciation into like a joyous celebration of friendship.
Did it do well in the charts?
It did. The salsa version hit #4 on the Billboard Tropical Airplay chart.
So almost 30 years after it was written, it's a hit again in a totally new genre.
It just shows you how durable that song is.
And Marc Anthony didn't just keep it in the studio.
No, he performed it live with other huge stars like Cheyenne and Alejandro Fernandez.
That's a Latin music royal flush right there.
It is. It proves the song had become, a standard that's part of the canon now.
When you lay it all out like that, a song between friends in Brazil, translated by siblings in Argentina, shouted out by a tired kid in Mexico, performed for the Pope, turned into a movie, and then reborn as a salsa hit.
It all comes back to that one line for me. A heart of a child.
How so?
Well, think about it. The song's core message is about having the heart of a child. And who's the hero of the story? Who changes the song's destiny?
A child.
A child. Who starred in the movie that cemented its legacy, Pedro Fernandez, a child. It's like the song's own lyrics predicted its path.
Wow, I never put that together. That's a beautiful way to look at it.
It's just a reminder that in a world of, complex geopolitics, which a papal visit definitely is, sometimes the simplest message is the one that breaks through. Friendship.
It's a message that works for your best friend, and it works for a religious figure, and it works on a dance floor.
It's fundamental.
So, really, the history of a song isn't just about sales figures.
No, the charts are just numbers. The real story is what happens around the song. If that kid in the rehearsal hadn't spoken up, Amigo would still be a great song, but it would be this song. History is so often made in those small, unrecorded moments.
It really makes you wonder how many other songs are out there just waiting for their moment, waiting for the right tired kid to shout them out.
The potential is always there.
So to wrap this all up, we've gone from a songwriting session to a papal serenade to a salsa club.
All carried by that one pure message,
Yeah.
that heart of a child idea.
And it leaves me with this one last thought for you to chew on. We talk about being in the right place at the right time, but I can't get past the image of that one kid in that rehearsal hall.
The catalyst.
The catalyst. If he'd been a little less bold or the organizers a little more dismissive, would we even be talking about this? Would Amigo just be another track on a greatest hits album?
It makes you think about how fragile these cultural moments really are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe the next time you're in a room and you have an idea that seems a little out of left field, maybe you should just shout it out. You never know. You might just make history.
Or get a song to #1 for a second time.
That too. Thanks for taking this dive with us.
My pleasure.
We'll see you next time.